Hey guys, welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new here and don't know me, I am Courtney Cherise. Welcome. Follow my returning viewers, welcome back. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to get this look. And the face is sitting. This is like my everyday makeup routine, and I switched up a few steps because I'm going out with some friends tonight and I wanted to give a little bit of drama. But other than that, this is a very beginner friendly tutorial. I go over the products I'm using, the best tools to use, and best of all, this look does not have to take long. So it did take me a while to do this face because I'm recording for YouTube, but usually I can accomplish this look in under 20 minutes. We use minimal products and we're very efficient with our routine. This routine is going to be perfect for beginners and the girls on the go. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So first thing first, you have to start with a good base. Myself, I am a very oily girl, so I take that into consideration when picking out my base products. So for me, my skincare looks like something that is hydrating but that doesn't contain a lot of oil content, and also keeping in mind the weather, I like to be especially moisturized. So I did go in with some hyaluronic acid from The Ordinary, and I use my sunscreen moisturizer from Paula's Choice. I will be linking all of my product recommendations down below in my LTK, so if you do not know what these products are, do not fret, they will be down below. But yes, you need to start with a clean face. Make sure that you are hydrated, okay? Make sure your face is hydrated. So moisturize and don't skip the sunscreen. With that being said, because I am an oily girl, I do go in with a mattifying primer. This is by MAC. You guys can tell that I really like it because she's almost gone, okay? I need to re-up. This video just reminded me I need to re-up. And so I'm oily, especially in my T-zone. So I just applied this much product to my finger, and that little bit is probably going to be used on this half of my face. I am generous with my primer, so I'm getting my T-zone really good. Okay, so I do feel very well primed. So now let's get into the base. So in this phase of my life where I really can appreciate being able to grab products and go, I typically use tinted moisturizers. So for today, I'll be using the ABH Skin Tint. And this shade I have is 14, and this is described as a beauty balm. So if I'm not using this one, I'm usually using a liquid type of foundation, and I will leave my recommendations below. But what I found is that liquid foundations typically require a little bit more manipulation. So if I'm running low on time and still want full coverage, I'm reaching for this. So I'm gonna work in sections on my skin tint. If y'all see me looking down here, it's because my mirror is here. And to me, this is just so easy to apply, especially if you're a beginner. You can just apply it right to your skin. And to blend this out, I will actually be using a blush brush. Yes, you heard that correctly. I said a blush brush, you guys. I found that the density of this is perfect to blend out my foundations. So I did get this brush from Sephora. This is the Pro Blush Brush 93. And so to blend in my foundation, I usually do pats and swipes. That is a technique I have been using for years, and I have found this to be the most efficient. With this technique, you get a lot of your color payoff and it still blends out really well. I found that a lot of people use sponges, and that is okay. I found that sponges are good for when you just want to have like a light layer of foundation on, because they do pick up product as you blend it out. Here, you don't have to sacrifice your color payoff for a good blend. So that's why I appreciate using a brush. So I will say, while I am blending this out and doing this side of face, is that you may notice that I'm not concentrating a lot of products right here under my eye. And that is intentional. I am going to go in with some concealer after I do my foundation. And what I found is that your products lay the best on your bare skin. So I have blended all over my face. What I am also going to do is take whatever products left on this brush and put it on my eyelids. So the concealer that I really love is the Hourglass concealer. I love this so much, especially as an oily girl. This is the best concealer I've ever used. I would highly recommend. So the shade I'm going to be using today is Umber. So for my under eye, I'm going to place it here in like a little bit of a triangle. And if you notice, I am taking my brush and I'm trying my best to move it away from my nose because I want to make sure that my product is concentrated right underneath my eye. Okay, if you watch a few of my other vlogs, then you already know I'm about to do the most unorthodox thing, but I'm about to blend my under eye with a triangle powder puff. I know it sounds absurd. When I first heard of this tip or this trick, I thought it was kind of crazy, but I will say that it works really well. And then don't knock me, but it especially works well when there's a little bit of product on it, okay? It just helps your product stay on your face, whereas I found some brushes and sponges picks up all of your products and it makes you do more work when that happens. So that goes to show that the right tools can also save you time. So invest in your tools just as much as you invest in your makeup. So I did this eye. I'm gonna walk you through this eye. So notice how I'm taking my triangle and I'm facing it out of my face and not in. That is intentional because like I said, I want to keep it concentrated underneath my eye and try not to have it go over into my nose. So I'm taking my powder puff, I'm blending it out, and then as I get here, I start blending it up in my face. And then around my nose, I'm very, very careful about making sure that I don't get it on my nose, and I just take it and go down. If you have a harsh line here, don't worry because we're going to go back in and blend this out with our foundation brush. So if you are happy with this amount of coverage, you can just stop here. Myself, I am going out tonight, okay? So I'm going to do another layer of concealer just to give me that bright under eye, because right now, like I said, it's sitting on my skin, so my darker complexion is kind of peeking through, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm going for a super full coverage look tonight. I want you all to notice that I only place a little dot on my eye for that second layer versus going back in with the same amount of product that I did the first time I placed my concealer down. That is intentional because I don't want to put too much cream product on because we still have to go in with our powders. But I will say, if you make the mistake and put too much powder on your face, use a sponge. Remember I said that sponge picks up product sometimes, and that's why I don't like it to apply my makeup. The opposite is said when it comes to picking up my makeup. I do want it to pick up products where I have too much, so I'll usually take a damp sponge and then just bounce it over my face where I do feel like some of that cream product, not powders, cream product needs to be picked up. Okay, that is it for my under eye. I'm going to go back in with my foundation brush, and I'm not picking up any extra products. I'm just going to blend out those edges to make that transition seamless and smooth. And remember what I said about the nose, don't worry about it. That's because I'm going back in with my foundation brush and I'm just gonna pat right over that line as well. So I'm blending out right here by my nose and right here by my eye. And see how you can see the difference of the transition between this eye and this eye where it's a lot more harsh. That's why it's so important to make sure you blend. Now, I'm not one to highlight my nose, my forehead, my chin. I used to be that girl. That's just not me anymore. I just like to brighten up my under eye so I can appear more awake. But I do enjoy a good contour. For my contour today, I will be using my Liss foundation stick, and this is in the shades No Limit Strength. This foundation stick is so creamy. It's got a great range, so if you're darker than me, if you're lighter than me, you will find a foundation stick for you. And then because it's so creamy, it just blends out so well. So I do place a little bit product right here under my cheekbone on both sides. I don't drag it all the way down because like I said, this product is super creamy, so you can blend it down with your brush. And then the more product you put on, the harder it is to blend it out. I'm putting it on my forehead, and then I'm going to take the sides of it and I'm going to put it on my nose. So like I said, I don't highlight my nose, but I do contour my nose. You can get the same contour effect by just using contour as a product instead of using contour and highlight. I have a personal preference to just use the contour because I don't like my nose to look super contoured. So this is a nice medium in my opinion. So to blend that out, I'm going to be using that Sephora Pro blush brush again that I use for my foundation to blend out my contour. I love this brush so much that I have two of them, okay, because I use one for my foundation and then I use one for my contour. But what I'm doing is I am stippling and making sure that I'm focusing on blending this product up and trying to keep it out of this area here, because that's how you get that contour effect. And it's okay if it goes into your highlight a little bit. It just gives more of a bronzy look anyway. You just don't want to go too far. It's just gonna undo all your hard work if you go too far. So I'm keeping it right here on my cheek. And then on my forehead, I'm blending it to the side, not in, to the side, because that's how you get that contour effect. If you go in, then it's gonna make your forehead all look dark, and we just want the sides and the top to be darker. To blend out my nose, I'm gonna go in with my Hourglass concealer brush. This brush is angled so perfect to do this task. So like I said, this product is super creamy, so when I'm blending it out first, I'm focusing on pulling it into my eye to just get some of that color off. It just makes it easier to blend it down and not have it look so harsh and so dark. And by doing this, I'm distributing the product evenly. So I found that blending into the eye is easier because you have a lot more real estate to blend it on. And then you can also blend it down. If you need more product, you can dabble into your eye, but you don't want too heavy of a contour. Okay, now that we're done with our contour, we're going to move on to our liquid blush. This is arguably my favorite part of the routine. I am definitely a girly with blush blindness, okay? But don't let that scare you. If you're not into heavy blush, then you can just modify this step of the routine by reducing the amount of liquid blush you place on your face. But today I'm gonna be using the YSL blush, and this is in the shade 54. I love this shade so much for dark skin. You get that pink, but it's a natural pink. So I'm gonna take a little bit of it. I applied two little stripes on my face. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. What I love the most about this product is that you get really good pigmentation off of it even after you blend, but it kind of dries down like a powder. I don't know what it is, but it's absolutely amazing. To blend out my liquid blush, I will be using my Sephora foundation brush. So yes, I do have a foundation brush, but I don't use it for foundation. I use it for blush, okay? It works for me. This is the Sephora foundation brush in the number 47. And what I like about this brush is that it's angled, so you can pat the product and it just kind of settles on your face nicely. And I'm gonna just take this blush in the same way that I stipple my foundation. I'm going to stipple my blush. And this one, really don't be scared to get this into your under eye. So when I initially blend out, I pat the product up and down my cheekbone, and then once I get that product evenly distributed, I move it in underneath my eye. So I'll show you again on this side where I'm patting it up and down on my cheekbone. And then to blend out that harsh line, I'm going to kind of move it up underneath my eye, and it's just a little bit of product so it naturally transitions well. And then you can just blend it down into your contour a little bit. Like I said, I have blush blindness. I absolutely love this look. This is so me. I know you might be scared at this point, but trust the process. It's all gonna come together. Now, I will say, if you're not happy with how far you drug your blush up, you can always go back in with your powder puff. Don't put any more products on it. It still has a lot on here. And blend out your concealer. Just blend it down. And you see that color is coming back. And that blend between your concealer and your blush is impeccable. Now that we have laid down all of our cream products, we're gonna go in and set our face. I'm gonna be using the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. And this stuff, it just melts the makeup on your face. It's amazing. And then I'm gonna just spray this liberally, okay? And this is the reason why I do my makeup before my hair, because otherwise, baby, my leave out would have reverted. Now it's time to move on to the brows. I don't do a lot to my eyebrows. I really like the shape of my eyebrows, so I just find that whenever I do too much to it, I tend to not like it. It doesn't look as natural, and I like a natural looking brow. So what I do is go in with the skin tint and a pencil on just my tail. So for my skin tint, I'm going to be using the Refi skin tint in the shade Soft Brown. I love this shade. It's so perfect. It matches with my natural hair color, but they do have, I think, 2 or 3 more shades that are darker than this if you want a more dark, dramatic brow. And then for my tail, I'm going to be using Sephora retractable brow pencil, and this is in the shade Chocolate Brown. So I'm going to just take that Refi, and I'm actually going to start with not the beginning of my brow, but applying that tint right here, kind of like towards the middle of my brow. And that just helps me get some of the product off where I want it to be darker. And then after I apply that, then I come back in and just brush that up at the front of my brow because it gives it that gradient that I like. To the other side. And now I'm going to go in with that Sephora brow pencil and just make my tail a little sharper. And all I'm literally doing, y'all, is taking, like, drawing a line like from the middle of my tail and just drawing it straight down where my top and bottom meet. So that's literally all I do for my eyebrows. If I'm feeling really dramatic, I will go in with the concealer underneath and clean it up, but I just like how natural this looks and I feel. And now we're on to the powder portion of our makeup, and I enjoy this part so much because this is where the makeup just starts to feel like it's coming together. So first thing I always set is my under eye because that has a tendency to crease the fastest, so I want to go ahead and set that as soon as I can. So I'm not really a baked girly, but I've been really into this one size powder lately, and I still use it. I just don't bake with it, and I absolutely love. I'm going to be using my Morphe M536 to pick up the loose powder. And so what I have is just a little bit of powder on the top. I'm tapping my brush into it and making sure that I'm spinning it around so I'm getting powder everywhere, and I'm going to just tap it off back inside of the pan, and so that way I can ensure I'm not picking up too much product. Then I'm going to look up and set this right where I highlighted underneath my eye. And y'all see what the powder does? Oh my gosh, it like eliminates pores. And I do want to make mention that if using the loose powder intimidates you, don't worry. This is so good. This is all you need. You can take the same brush, go in pan and put on top. I'm not going to be using this today because I don't want to look too cakey. And the 2 different products give you 2 different undertones. The one I use is very pink and bright, and this one is very like everyday skin like. It's so pretty. I love this stuff so much. Whatever is left on my brush, I'm going to use that to pat underneath my eyebrow, on my eyelid, and this still gives it that like smooth finish. To set all over my face, I'm going to be using my MAC Skin Finish. This is in the shade Dark Deep. This is a holy grail. I strayed away and then I came right back. I will say that I also like the Sephora brand Skin Finish, and being that there is a Sephora savings event going on right now and you get 30% off of their products, I would definitely recommend that for the value you get. So I'm taking a big fluffy brush. I don't even think this has a name on it anymore, but this is what it looks like. I got a set of these brushes from Amazon, so you could really use any big fluffy brush. And I'm taking it and I'm just patting my face, even on top of my contour, and this is going to help me not to be oily. So this step is so important. You do not want to skip this. You can put it on top of your contour. You see things starting to come together? Yeah, that girl. For my contour, I'm going to be using NARS Laguna bronzer, and this is a newer product for me. Previously, I was using the Charlotte Tilbury powder, and I really did like it, but I wanted to go a little bit more dramatic in my contour, and their darkest shade of contour just wasn't that dark to me. So that's why I picked this one up. And it has a little bit of a red undertone, but it's still kind of cool. So I really have been enjoying this product so far. But if you're lighter than me or don't want a super dark dramatic contour, check out the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer because it works so well. This is a angled brush. I don't remember where I got this from at all, but I'm using this to apply the contour, and I am just picking up, dabbing the products in there, and then I'm actually just swiping this one back and forth, and then same with my forehead, stippling. And you want to focus pulling that product out and not brushing it in. We're pulling it out. And this is where you add drama to your face. You add some depth to your face. I don't know, contouring and blush, they go neck and neck for my favorite part of makeup. But here we are with our contour on. For our blush, I'm going to be using my Hourglass palette. I will say this one was limited edition, so you're not going to find this one, but they have another line of limited edition blushes out. All of Hourglass brushes are just so good, so go check it out. They also have singles, but I really do enjoy this one. This is the Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked Lotus Flower blush palette, and it looks just like this. I should have got 3 of these. I love this so much. I get so many compliments on this blush. Hourglass, if you are watching, bring it back. Bring it back, babe. Okay, I'm going to be using this pointed fluffy round brush to apply my blush. Like I said, some of my brushes, I have no idea where I got them from. I just love them. Haven't had a problem, had them for years. So anyways, Real Techniques and Sephora, you can't go wrong with either of those collections looking for these type of brushes. And I'll try to link some below. But what I just did was I picked up all 3 of the brushes. I'm swiping left to right, picking up, and then I'm going to just dab it on my face. And remember what I told you guys, I have blush blindness, so if you guys don't want this much blush on your face, that's okay. Just take a little bit of product on your brush, tap it off, and then do a little bit at a time, and you can build it up, versus putting a bunch on and try to take it off. That's virtually impossible with blush. It's just very difficult. But I don't worry about that because I love blush so much. And then I'm just focusing on the highest part of my cheek, and I'm swiping this up, and then I'm even going into my brow bone, and it just looks so stinking cute. Now that I have all of my powders on, I'm gonna go in with my One Size Powder Melt to set my face. I actually got this product recommendation from Chelsea Janae. She was talking about this in one of her blogs, and I was just like, listen, it cannot eat that bad. Boy, I was wrong. She was onto something. Like, this really has your face looking like glass. Even if you apply too much product, too much powder to your face, this is gonna melt it. So anyways, I'm gonna shake this up really good. And oh no, a big glob just, listen, I can't believe that. If that happens to you, don't touch it, okay? Just keep going. A setting spray hate to see me coming, okay? Because I'm gonna set my face. It's coming together. I mean, my face is dry though. So now we're gonna move on to my eyes. I am not an eyeshadow girl, and I don't mean that to say that I can't do eyeshadow. I absolutely can, okay? I got some looks that eat down from back in the day. I just don't do like eyeshadow looks for my everyday looks. So what I typically do is take bronzer and just put that on my eyelid. That's usually all I do. I'm gonna do that today, but I'm gonna step it up a notch by adding a little bit more depth to it without making it look like a smoky eye, because that's not the look I'm going for today. This is like an everyday look mixed with a little bit of glam. So that's what we're doing here. So I'm going to use that same bronzer that I used to set my contour, and I'm going to be using a Morphe M441 fluffy brush and picking up some of that product, tapping it off. And I'm going to start in my crease applying product to just get it down. And I'm going to go towards the outer end of my eye, so this side here, and lightly blend it up. I don't like to go too far into my brow bone because I like to have it looking bright underneath my brow bone. And this just looks so natural. And then I'm going to take this brush and just move in circular motions in my crease to get me that everyday look that I'm going for. I'm going to take whatever's left from that brush and just brush it over my lid just to kind of even things out and not have it looking patchy. So to add that depth I was referring to earlier, I'm going to be using a mini Natasha Denona palette, and this is so perfect. Her eyeshadows are so good. If you're looking for like an everyday eyeshadow palette, I 100% recommend getting you a Natasha Denona. And her regular size ones, they're about double this, maybe even triple this size. But myself personally, I'm not a big eyeshadow girl. This is perfect for travel, perfect for throwing in your makeup kit, especially if you're on the go girly and you take your bag and go. You don't have time to be getting a big eyeshadow palette. So these are perfect. Like I said before, you can get this from the Sephora sale happening right now. If you're Rouge, up to 20% off. This has everything you need for an everyday eye look. And if you want to take it up a notch and do a glamour look, here is that sparkly shade there as well. So pretty. But I'm going to take this darker shade and my Morphe M453, and it's just like a tapered fluffy brush. And I'm going to pick up some of that product, just placing a little bit on here, because like I said, you want to do a little bit, build up, and I'm going to tap off the excess. And then right in the corner of my eye, I'm going to concentrate the products on. I'm just going to apply that there to just give it the depth. And I'm just keeping it on the outer end of my eye. So that's all I'm doing for my eyes. Like I said, this is an everyday look. This is what I do every day. And so now we're going on to our eyeliner. Today I'm going to be using my waterproof eyeliner from Sephora, also in the collection, 30% off. By the way, this is not sponsored. Okay, I'm using the shade Matte Black, and I don't do a super defined eyeliner like I used to with wings and no, I don't do all of that these days. I'm just gonna line very thinly right above my eyelashes. So I'm going to be looking down, you guys. I hope that you all can see it. I'm going to try my absolute best. So you see that eye versus this eye, it just adds a little bit of depth without being too dramatic. Now let's move on to our mascara. I used to be a heavy, like everyday eyelash wearer, but just with all the lifestyle changes and everything, I prefer to do a no lash mascara look. I'm gonna be using my Tartelette mascara. This is very easy to apply. I'm looking in my mirror, so that's why I'm not looking at y'all while I'm applying it, but you literally just take the mascara and you're dragging it up. I like this product a lot. Another one I like is the Fenty Beauty mascara. Their stuff is so good. If you're going for like a really thick look but don't want to put on like falsies, Fenty's mascara is so good for that. Wow, look at that difference. It makes your lashes look so long. You don't even need falsies. Okay, that's the mascara. She's so cute. So now I'm gonna go back in my waterline underneath my eye and add a little bit of color there. To do that, I'm gonna use that Sephora eyeliner again. And I wanna be very careful to only add it to my waterline here and not bring it down, because it can make your under eye darker. So I'll be looking in my mirror for this step. What I like to do is take my eye and bring it down. Trying to make sure y'all can see me. And I'm only gonna apply it to this outer corner here. So I'm only applying it to the outer corner. It's giving drama. Okay, do you see me? Yeah, she's cute. And now I'm gonna go back into that Natasha Denona palette, and I'm going to pick up that darkest brown and use that to put some eyeshadow on my waterline. So I'm just taking that brown eyeshadow and I'm gonna use that to apply it in my waterline, and I'm being very careful to only apply it there, because when that falls onto like your highlight, it can make your eye looks really, really dark, which is the opposite of what we're going for. You see the difference with this eye and this eye? Oh, that is so stinking cute. So pretty. Okay, we're gonna do another spray to lock this in. I'm going back in with that Charlotte Tilbury. And now I'm going to do another coat of the one size. This one I kept it back a little further since I know that it can drop down the way it did on me. Yeah, I'm all the way up here with it, okay? So the last step to this routine is doing our lips, and then we'll be done. Okay, for my lips today, I'm gonna be wearing my Juvia's Place lip liner in the shade Cola. I typically use the shade Brownie, but I didn't see it. And then I'm gonna be using my Hourglass lip gloss. This stuff is so pigmented, you don't even have to layer it with anything else. And then I'm gonna top that off with some MAC lip gloss just for some shine. So to line my lips, I'm not going to overline because naturally the lip liner just moves on its own and I don't want it to be all over the place. So I'm going to place it right up into the edge of my lip. Okay, this is what we're working with, and this is honestly cute too. I could put some lip gloss on top of this and it would be a vibe. But I'm gonna use my Hourglass lip gloss, and this is in the shade Desire. And this is a cute little peachy pink for an everyday look if you don't wanna go super dramatic. But I also like this in the shade Essence. This is so pretty. So this is what it looks like with the lip liner in Desire. And so now let's add our MAC clear lip gloss. And if you're anything like me, you're gonna think this stuff is overpriced because it is. But there is no other lip gloss that I found to be this thick and this shiny. And so I'm gonna just take this and apply this to the end. Over my lip liner. And then whatever's on my lip after putting the lip gloss on my lip liner, I'm just going to pop it so that it goes down onto that Hourglass lip gloss. But yeah, y'all, this is the look. How we feeling about it? This is such a good makeup. I'm in love. Let's go do this hair and put on an outfit so y'all can see the full look, okay? Okay, guys, this is the finished look. This is what I'm wearing tonight to go hang out with my girls, and I think the face is perfect for the situation. If this was like a daytime look, I would definitely switch up the lip to do a lighter lip liner, the brownie one I mentioned before, and then the Scent lip gloss with Hourglass. Yeah, that would eat it up. But I think this is the perfect night look. It's still very natural, not too dramatic, and this can easily be transformed to a day look. So let me know if you guys like it down below in the comments. Let me know if you guys have any questions or anything I need to go more in depth on. I am more than happy to answer you guys' questions. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I enjoyed filming this video so much. We might need to bring back the beauty content, okay? Because yeah, if I get to look like this for y'all, I can get used to it. So anyways, thank you guys so much, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.